Okay, Alex, I want you to think about a specific, universally stressful experience. A moment where you are completely out of your comfort zone. Your heart is racing, and you are desperately trying to explain a very specific, very weird problem to a professional who is looking at you like you might be slightly crazy.
Oh, wow. That is a very dramatic way to start the podcast. But I know exactly what you're talking about. It is taking your pet to the vet.
The vet visit, yes. Specifically, trying to explain what is wrong with your animal when you are not a doctor. You are stressed, and you are doing it all in a second language.
Oh, that is a special kind of nightmare. On a scale of 1 to 10, my anxiety when I have to take Barnaby to the vet is easily a 9. Maybe a 10 if it is an emergency and the waiting room is full of people with very loud, very sick looking dogs.
A 10, that is incredibly high. You are an intelligent, capable adult. You manage complex software projects. But a cat carrier and a clipboard full of medical forms make you want to turn around and run back to your car?
It is not just the forms, Sophia. It is the vulnerability. When your pet is sick, you feel completely helpless. You love this little creature, and you are responsible for its health. But you do not have the medical vocabulary to explain what is happening. In my native language, I can describe exactly how Barnaby is acting. But in English, my brain just freezes.
I completely understand that. Going to the vet is stressful even in your native language. The waiting room is tense. The animals are anxious. And you are worried about your furry family member.
Exactly. And then you get called back. And the vet looks at you and asks, "So, what brings Barnaby in today?" And you have to summarize days of weird behavior into a coherent medical history, in English, in about 30 seconds.
It really is a high pressure situation. And veterinary English has its own specific vocabulary. Words like lethargic, appetite, vaccination, gastrointestinal. It is a lot to process when you are already worried.
Yes, I had a terrible experience with this a few months ago. Barnaby got sick. It was sudden. One day he was fine, and the next day, he was acting very strange.
Oh no! I remember you mentioning this. What was happening with him?
Well, he stopped eating his normal food, and he was sleeping all the time. But the main thing was that he kept throwing up. Not just a little hairball. He was throwing up his food, and then he would just stare at the wall.
That sounds really concerning. Any loving pet owner would be worried.
I was panicking. I called the vet, got an emergency appointment, and put him in the carrier. We arrived at the clinic, and the receptionist handed me a form. "Please fill this out, and the vet will be with you shortly."
Standard procedure.
Yes. But then, the vet came in. She was very nice, very professional. She looked at Barnaby, who was hiding in the corner of the exam room, and then she looked at me. She said, "Okay, tell me a little bit about what you have been observing at home."
A very open-ended, classic vet question.
Yes. And I wanted to sound like a responsible, knowledgeable pet owner. I did not want to just say, "He is sick." I wanted to give her detailed, professional information. So, I took a deep breath, and I said, very seriously, "Hello, my cat is rejecting his meals with extreme prejudice."
Rejecting his meals with extreme prejudice.
Yes,
Alex. No.
I said it with total, sincere seriousness. He is rejecting his meals with extreme prejudice. And he is also, how do you say? Ignoring the world? He is in his own universe.
I am losing my mind. I am actually crying. What did the vet's face do?
She stopped writing. She looked at Barnaby, who was currently licking his own paw, completely unbothered. Then she looked back at me, and she said, very slowly, "So, he is vomiting, and he seems lethargic."
Wiping away tears. Oh. Alex? That is incredible.
I was so confused. I said, "Yes, lethargic. He is a lethargic rebel. He protests the food, and then he returns it to the floor."
I cannot breathe. A lethargic rebel. You made your sick cat sound like the leader of an underground resistance movement.
I wanted the exam table to open up and swallow me whole. I just mumbled, "Yes? Vomiting? Lethargic. That is the word." The vet just nodded, tried to hide a smile, and said, "Okay, let's take a look at his tummy."
Okay. First of all, that is a hilarious story. Second of all, I promise you, that vet probably told her colleagues about the lethargic rebel cat. But more importantly, you got Barnaby the help he needed.
Logically, I know that. But in the moment, you feel so foolish. You are an adult, but you feel like a child who cannot even describe a basic stomachache.
I hear you. It is that gap between your actual intelligence and your ability to access the right vocabulary when you are under emotional stress. But let's look at what actually happened. You used descriptive language. Rejecting meals and ignoring the world actually painted a very clear picture. Even if the phrasing was a bit dramatic.
I suppose so. But it made me realize how much specific vocabulary is tied to pet care.
That is so true. And it highlights a really important point for our listeners. When we are put on the spot in a second language, especially in a stressful environment, like a vet clinic, our brains default to literal or overly dramatic translations. We panic, and we grab the first words we know.
Exactly. So, please, Sophia, give me the toolkit. How do I navigate a vet visit without sounding like I'm describing a spy movie?
Okay, let's demystify this. The most common B1, B2 veterinary phrases are actually quite logical once you know the context. Let's start with the one that caused the trauma. Lethargic.
It means lacking energy, sluggish, or unusually tired. Got it. No rebellion required.
Exactly. If your pet is sleeping more than usual and does not want to play, they are lethargic. Now, what about throwing up?
I know this one, but I always worry it sounds too casual. I sometimes say, he is returning his food, which, as we established, sounds like a restaurant review.
Laughs, returning his food. I love that. But the most natural, common way to say it is simply throwing up or vomiting. He has been throwing up his food. It is clear, direct, and exactly what the vet needs to know.
Throwing up. Okay, I can use that. What about when they do not want to eat?
You can say they have a loss of appetite or they are not eating. He has lost his appetite is a very natural, slightly more formal way to say it, which is perfect for a vet visit.
Loss of appetite. That sounds very professional. What about when they are drinking a lot of water? Barnaby was doing that too.
Ah, yes. You can say, he is drinking more water than usual, or his water intake has increased.
Water intake. I like that. It sounds like I am a scientist monitoring an experiment.
Laughs, it does, and it is the exact right term. Vets use water intake and urination all the time. So, if you put it all together, instead of he is a lethargic rebel who rejects his meals, you can say, he has been lethargic. He has a loss of appetite. And he has been throwing up.
Wow. That is so clear. And so much less dramatic. I could actually say that without panicking.
You absolutely could. And notice how we did not use any complex medical jargon. Just simple, clear, everyday English that perfectly describes the symptoms.
That is a huge relief. But what about when the vet gives you instructions? That is where I really struggle. They talk so fast about dosages and frequencies.
Ah, the post-appointment instructions? This is a very common pain point.
Yes, the vet will say something like, give him 1 tablet, twice daily with food, and monitor his stool for any abnormalities. And my brain is like, tablet? Stool? Abnormalities? I just want my cat to be okay.
I hear this so often. The medical terminology can be overwhelming. But the key is to not be afraid to ask for clarification. You have every right to understand how to care for your pet.
But how do I ask without sounding like I do not know basic English?
You use what I call the repeat and confirm technique. You do not just say, I do not understand. You repeat what you think you heard and ask for confirmation.
How do I do that?
You can say, just to make sure I have this right, I need to give him 1 pill, 2 times a day, and it should be with his meals?
Just to make sure I have this right. I love that. It shows I'm listening and trying to be responsible. Not that I am clueless.
Exactly. It is a very proactive, adult way to communicate. Another great phrase is, could you write those instructions down for me? Please?
Could you write those instructions down? Yes, that is so practical. When I'm stressed, I forget everything the second I walk out the door.
It is completely normal to forget. Stress blocks memory. Asking for written instructions is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of a good pet owner.
That makes me feel so much better. But Sophia, I have to be honest. All of this vet anxiety, it is deeply tied to a feeling of helplessness.
I hear you. Say more about that.
Well, when your pet is sick, you feel like you are failing them. You think, I should know what is wrong. I should be able to fix it. And when you add the language barrier, it feels like there is an extra wall between you and the solution. You are already scared, and now you are also struggling to communicate.
That is such a profound and valid feeling. We spend our whole lives building competence. We want to be good at our jobs, good at managing our lives, good at communicating. So, when we try to do a simple thing like explain that our cat is sick in a second language, and we suddenly do not know the basic vocabulary, it feels like a blow to our ego.
Exactly. You feel like you are regressing. You think, I am a senior software developer. I build complex systems. Why can I not tell a vet that my cat is throwing up?
Because you have never needed to know this specific, emotional, high stakes vocabulary. It is a highly specific context with its own rhythm. Being a beginner at navigating a vet visit does not make you less intelligent. It just means you're learning a new skill, in a new language, in a new culture. That is triple the cognitive load.
That is a really nice way to look at it. I usually just focus on the awkwardness of the moment. Like the time I tried to ask the vet if Barnaby needed a worm cleaning, and she looked at me like I was suggesting we put him in a washing machine.
Bursts into laughter. Oh, Alex. No, worm cleaning?
I did. I meant to ask if he needed to be dewormed. But my brain just combined worm and cleaning. The vet just blinked and said, "You mean a deworming treatment?"
I am wheezing. I am actually crying. A deworming treatment. That is the most perfectly professional vet response ever.
I wanted to disappear into the exam room floor. I just said, "Yes. The treatment. Please." And I spent the rest of the appointment nodding silently, afraid to speak again.
Okay. First of all, that is hilarious. Second of all, the vet probably appreciated the creativity, even if it was accidental. But you know what, Alex? You got Barnaby the treatment he needed. You survived the interaction. That is a victory.
I suppose so. I just need to remember that my worth as a pet owner is not determined by my ability to use perfect medical terminology.
Exactly. Your worth is determined by the fact that you care enough to take him to the vet, even when it is uncomfortable and scary. And that is incredibly brave. Now, since we are on the topic of vet visits and asking for help, I want to try something with you. A little role play.
Oh no! I knew this was coming. My imaginary cat carrier is already making me nervous.
It will be fun. I promise. And it is great practice. I am going to be the friendly, professional vet. You are going to bring Barnaby in. Describe his symptoms clearly using our new vocabulary. And ask for clarification on the medication instructions. You are going to stay calm. And no mention of rebels or extreme prejudice. Ready?
Okay. I am ready. No spy movies. Just a normal, worried pet owner.
Perfect. Shifts posture. Adopts a warm, professional, reassuring voice. Hi, Alex. I see Barnaby is here. What seems to be the problem today?
Clears throat. Speaks calmly. Hi. Well, Barnaby has been acting a bit lethargic for the last 2 days. He has a loss of appetite, and he has been throwing up his food shortly after eating.
I see. That does sound uncomfortable for him. I am going to examine him. And I think we should start him on an anti-nausea medication. You will need to give him one pill, twice a day. ideally with a small amount of food.
Takes a deep breath. Uses the technique. Just to make sure I have this right, I need to give him 1 pill, 2 times a day, and it should be with his meals. Also, could you write those instructions down for me? Please?
Breaks character. Smiling widely. Oh! Alex, that was absolutely flawless.
Really? It felt a little bit formal, but I was trying to be clear.
It was perfect. You used the exact right vocabulary. Lethargic. Loss of appetite. Throwing up. You repeated the instructions to confirm your understanding. And you politely asked for written instructions. You sounded like a highly competent, caring pet owner.
It feels much safer to have a script like that. When I'm nervous, I either explain, I am so sorry. He is a bad cat. He is making a mess. Or I just nod and hope I remember what to do.
And both of those extremes are problematic. Over explaining makes you seem insecure. And just nodding can lead to medication mistakes. The repeat and confirm formula keeps you perfectly in the middle.
I'm definitely writing that formula down. But Sophia, I have to be honest. Even with the right vocabulary, there is a moment in every vet visit where I just feel completely overwhelmed.
The what if it is something serious moment?
Yes. Last year, Barnaby had a scare where he was hiding under the bed and would not come out. I took him to the emergency vet. The waiting room was full. The lights were bright. And the receptionist was asking me a million questions about his medical history. I sat there, holding his carrier, and I felt this overwhelming wave of fear. I felt like I could not even protect my own pet.
I hear you. That feeling of helplessness is universal. Pet owners feel it too, regardless of their native language. Have you ever heard the phrase, a bundle of nerves?
No. What is that?
It is an idiom that means someone who is extremely anxious or worried. Like, I was a bundle of nerves in the waiting room.
Laughs. That is terrible. But it makes sense. When everything feels uncertain, and you are trying to communicate your fear in a second language, it is a recipe for panic.
Exactly. And in those moments, the most powerful English phrase you can use is not a medical term. It is a boundary. You can say to the receptionist, I am a bit overwhelmed right now. Could we take this one question at a time?
Could we take this one question at a time? That is so simple. But it is so hard to remember when you are panicking.
But it is the most important thing to remember. There is no prize for answering 10 questions at once while having a panic attack. Slowing down the process is a sign of emotional intelligence, not weakness.
That is a really nice way to look at it. I usually just try to rush through the forms, which leads to mistakes and more frustration.
Exactly. Give yourself permission to pause. The vet will wait. Your pet's care is the priority, not the speed of the paperwork.
Slowing down solves many vet problems.
Laughs. It really does. Now, since we are experts on pet care survival, I want to do a quick rapid fire scenario game. Vet Visit Edition. I will give you a situation, and you give me your immediate, natural response. No overthinking.
Okay. My cat is calm, and I have left my spy movie scripts at home. Hit me.
Scenario 1. You are at the vet, and the vet asks if your cat is up to date on his vaccinations.
I would say, yes. He had his annual check. Up and vaccinations last month.
Perfect. Clear. Direct. And uses the natural phrase up to date. Scenario 2. You need to pick up a prescription for your cat, but you do not have the receipt.
I would say, hi. I'm here to pick up Barnaby's prescription. I do not have the receipt, but I can give you his microchip number or my phone number to look it up.
Excellent. Proactive and helpful. Scenario 3. The vet gives you a new type of food, and you are not sure how to transition from the old food.
I would say, could you explain how to transition him to this new food? Should I mix it with his old food gradually?
Yes, flawless. Transition gradually is the exact right concept, and asking for the method shows you are a responsible owner. Scenario 4. You are at home, and your cat is acting weird again, but you're not sure if it is an emergency.
I would call the vet and say, hi. My cat is acting a bit strange today. It is not an emergency, but I would like to know if I should bring him in or just monitor him at home.
Gasps Alex. That is a perfect, emotionally intelligent response. You assess the situation, you use the natural phrase, monitor him, and you sought professional advice without panicking. That is B2, C1 level communication right there.
Really? I just used the phrases you gave me.
And you use them perfectly in context. That is how language acquisition works. You hear it, you understand it, and then you make it your own. You should be very proud of that.
I'm definitely writing monitor him at home on my imaginary vet form.
Please do. And you know, Alex, this entire conversation really highlights something important about the language learning journey. We focus so much on the big milestones, passing a test, giving a presentation. But the real magic happens in these tiny, awkward, everyday moments.
The tiny moments.
Yes. The moment you ask for a deworming treatment. The moment you realize lethargic is the right word. The moment you confidently say, just to make sure I have this right. Those are the moments where you are actually living the language. You are not just studying it, you are using it to navigate your life and advocate for your pet.
That is a really beautiful way to look at it. I usually just think of those moments as embarrassing failures. But they are actually proof of progress.
Exactly. Every awkward question is a victory. Every misunderstood phrase is a lesson learned. You are building your confidence one vet visit at a time.
One vet visit at a time. I like that. I'm going to use that.
You should. Now, to wrap up our pet care survival guide, I have to ask, did Barnaby ever recover from his lethargic rebel phase?
Laughs. You know what? Sophia? Yes. He did. It turned out he had just eaten a small piece of plastic from a toy. The vet gave him some medication, and he was back to his normal, demanding self within 2 days.
That is a huge victory. You faced the clinic, you asked for help, and you succeeded.
I did. And if he ever gets sick again, I know exactly what to say. He is lethargic. He has a loss of appetite. And he is throwing up.
Laughs, that is the smartest thing you could possibly say. Thank you. Alex, this conversation was exactly what I needed. I feel so much more confident about the idea of taking a pet to the vet and not feeling like an alien in the exam room.
I am so glad to hear that, Sophia. And to all our listeners out there, if you feel anxious about taking your pet to the vet in English, remember this: it is okay to ask for clarification. It is okay to ask for written instructions. And you never, ever need to describe your cat as a rebel.
And if the vet asks about his diet, just remember, they want to know about his food, not his political protests.
Exactly. We will see you all next time. Keep your pets healthy, your instructions clear. And bye, Sophia.
Bye, Alex.